This short film gives you a few pointers to go from this, with a bit of this, to this. Firstly, you need to cut out the parts you need. As you can see, the parts are held by little tabs which should be cut through with a sharp knife. You can easily recognize the tabs as they are a break in the darker cut line. To avoid confusion, only cut out what you need when you need. The frame is held together by lots of mortises and tenons. As they are tight fitting, they require no glue whatsoever. Before you push the tenon in, make sure it is exactly aligned with its mortise, otherwise you could damage it. Once all the sides have been pushed into the back, you can now add the front. As with the back, take care to align the tenons and you will have no problems. The tenons will not always sit directly above the mortise, so use the knife to push or pull the tenon into place. On a hard surface, press down on the frame to close any remaining gaps and ensure a good bond. Flip over and repeat on the other side. The paper parts that need to be folded are pre-scored along their fold lines. You will find gluing together a lot easier if you first fold the part to its end shape. Spread a thin layer of glue on the gluing tab, which you can easily identify by its cut-off corners. It will take a while until the glue starts to grip, so constantly check that the part is straight and true, or near enough. Here I am using a piece of dowel to back the glue joint so I can apply pressure, but of course a pencil or similar will do the job. Make sure the glue joint has set before you put the part to one side, as it can happen that the joint will slip and then set, leaving you with a crooked part. Here you can see one of the frame pillars. Bend back the tabs and coat them with glue. Add the ring and then press down on the tabs until the glue starts gripping. Now apply glue to the top of the tabs and press on the end cap. You will notice that once the glue has dried, how rigid the pillar has become, which is important as the pillars have to hold the weight of the clock. When all three pillars have been made, you can glue them into the frame. They must be glued into the front half of the frame, which is the one with the ears, and glued to the front, which is the side with only 4 holes. With the 2 upper pillars, pay attention to the end holes which take the frame nails. They should be inserted so that no hole is visible here. Take extra care when pushing the pillars in. Do not force them in, as this could damage them. As with the pendulum hanging point, a lot of the dowels are held by a press fitting which requires no glue. As the fit is pretty tight, do not just push in the dowel, as this will cause cardboard breakout, but rather twist the dowel in as if screwing it in. Rather than the more traditional toothed pinions, the Undecimus uses short lengths of dowel. Although trickier to put together than just a simple pinion, they offer greater stability and depth. Here I am cutting the pins for the intermediate cog and pinion, which are 20mm in length and 8 in total. Although I do have a table saw, a bandsaw, chainsaw, and sometimes after too much wine even a saw head, I shied at cutting such small dowels with a power tool. Sand the ends flat and bevel. Here I am using sandpaper stuck to a thin piece of plywood with double-sided sticky tape. The bevel is important as it helps inserting the pins into their respective holes. Check that the pins are of a similar length. As you can see here, I still have a bit of sanding to do. This is the intermediate cog, and as you can see, I have already glued on the strengthener. I used normal white glue to stick the pins in. Do not be too sparse with the glue, as it is this pin to cardboard joint that gives the hole its stability. Now tap the pins in. This may seem slightly brutal, but the pins need to go through a tight fitting 4mm deep hole. Just gently tap in until you reach bottom. The pins will be about as crooked and out of line as Stonehenge, so just tweak them to make the next stage a little easier. Once again, do not spare the glue. Now, this is where the fun begins. Keeping a constant pressure on the end piece, maneuver the pins so that the beveled ends grip the holes. I realise this is not the easiest part of the build, especially as your fingers are gumming up with wood glue, but take your time and it should not be such a problem. On the arbor, mark the position of the cog as given in the plans. With constant pressure, turn the arbor in. Using the included truing stand, we now need to true the cog. This is important as a very crooked cog could end up scraping against another cog in the clock, eventually bringing it to a standstill. As you have certainly noticed, the cog does have some wobble issues. At 90 degrees to the arbor would be the ideal line. So to correct this wobble, the cog needs to be pushed in this direction. Using gentle pressure, keep tweaking until you have eliminated most of the wobble. You should finish this stage before the glue has set. cog does not need to be 100% true, as it is a clock we are building and not a Formula 1 racing car. When all the parts have been made, it is time to test the gear train. Start by inserting the intermediate cog and escapement wheel. Also add the frame nails to ensure the front to back frame gap is correct. Before I add the minute cog and winding barrel, I would like to show you how smoothly the pawls and ratchet must work together in order for you to reliably rewind the clock. To make assembly in the frame at all possible, insert the winding barrel into the back of the cog. Although you will have to take the clock apart in order to add the anchor, this stage is very important as it will show if all gears mesh as they should and that you have no great amounts of friction. One major cause of friction are the holes in the frame where the arbors sit. Make sure the arbor ends are sanded smooth. Also, by just running the gear train a few times, will effectively polish the arbor holes. Now for the last test before you hang the clock. Add the anchor and push the minute cog with constant pressure in a clockwise direction. If your clock passes this test, then congratulations, the rest is pretty much plain sailing. With the clock mounted on the wall, the drive weight alone should start your clock twitching. You can adjust the time by simply turning the drive arbor both forwards or backwards. The rest is up to you.